Welcome to Two Hot Ass Takes, where we give you our unfiltered opinion that you definitely didn't ask for. I'm your co-host, Adrian. This is Kayla, and we're going to give you our hottest takes on the topics of the day.
Hey, what up, Adrian?
What's
Long
going
time
on?
no see.
What's going on, Kayla?
Nothing. You ready to give some hot ass takes on some hot ass topics?
Yeah, sure. Fuck it. Why not?
So this is
let's ride.
a so this is our first episode. We're little background. We've been bullshitting professionally for 5 years. So
we
we're like,
figured,
why not?
yeah,
You know?
figured why not take it and let other people join in on the bullshit so we can get your opinion on if our take is hot or if it's just hot ass.
Yep. And that's why we call it hot ass takes. So today we're going to be discussing something that's been in the news quite recently. It outraged a lot of people. A lot of people are tight, clenched over it.
Yeah, booty holes
So,
like that.
Yep. So today we're going to be discussing Jason Aldean and Try It in a Small Town. Or Try That in a Small
Woo.
Town. My apologies.
Yeah.
I messed up. But that's okay, I guess. So yeah, do you want to start with your base opinion of the song before you actually did your research?
Okay, so I got introduced to the song when I was watching the news because, it had just dropped and everybody was freaking out. And I was like, huh, okay. So then I looked like they were reading the lyrics off on television.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's easy to see like how you can make the inference like that there are like racial connotations within it and how like a small town can immediately like be related to like sundown towns and like how there is subtle like subtle dog whistles in there. I don't know if it's all the way there
Yeah.
because I mean I'm from the city, so I'm not from a small town, but I know sneaky racism when I see it.
Yeah.
But so I mean, like there's a couple of things in here that like definitely make you raise your eyebrow.
Yeah. Like I heard it when it because the song came out in May. So it's been out for a while, but it didn't actually like hit the
Yeah,
national eye or whatever until about like mid-July, maybe the beginning of July. And the only reason that it hit that attention is because the video came out. And you and I were like talking about it because it came out when I remember we messaged each other. That's kind of the idea that started this whole thing is like we were like, what
yeah,
the fuck is this? So I remember not actually hearing the song. I just saw some news footage about it. So I was like, you know what, let me give it a try. And I watched the video and I was just like, what in the white nationalism is this? Like,
yeah.
yeah,
The video definitely compounds it, and that's where like it's easy to make those inference because like when you talk about spit in a cop's face and then
yeah.
you show a BLM thing, it's like, okay, what are you getting at?
And the images that they show in them aren't just like stock images. They're like pivotal moments in like protests that have been happening recently in the past like 5 to 10 years, if not a little further. Cause like things have been like this since I remember. Like since I
Yeah,
even in the 90s when I was growing up, I remember watching protest videos. There's the Rodney King riots, there's things like that. So
yeah,
like but like seeing I remember like the Molotov cocktail people. That was not that long ago. So like the
yeah,
imagery that they're choosing to show in that video was a little concerning for me personally. But
yeah,
then I was like, you know what? Let me separate the video from the song because the issues people have with the video mainly, in my opinion, are the imagery in it
yeah,
and that courthouse. The
yeah,
courthouse that filmed it in front of. So like so I get why everyone got like upset. The lyrics
yeah,
themselves though are very It's like the fucking argument that I've been hearing for years on end, personified into music.
Yeah. And see the one of the things that I think is slick that you can do, and maybe he did it and maybe he didn't, is you create a neutral song. And like I said, there are some subtle dog whistles in here. This is definitely a conservative manifesto for sure.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
100%.
but I don't think people would have freaked out if this song had been just this song and all you're showing is, is pickup trucks driving down the road in a small town, and in freaking Montana or something like that. Like you wouldn't, this wouldn't make mainstream news. But when you start dragging in things that are politically charged on top of this song, now that raises the eyebrow, because Jason Aldean, I mean, he's at the point in his career where he doesn't show up to a music video without having some kind of input. He's
Well,
not
it's actually like pretty common knowledge that most people that make their own music videos, they're the ones funding that. So they do have creative say. Yeah, they get someone to do their video treatment for them, but like you're not gonna tell me that someone was like, oh yeah, you know what? Here's my song. Just whatever you think, I'll do it. Like, no, that did not happen.
exactly, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Jason Aldean didn't just show up to set and they're like, "Here's Q 1, 2, and 3. We know you. We haven't told you anything of what this is, but yeah, just stand here and we'll fill all the rest in post." No, bro. You had some creative input, you had some personal feelings about some things, and you decided, I'm gonna take a couple of shots. And that's exactly what you did, and you did it over a neutral song. And now, even if the whole song was just like about small town living,
Hmm.
which I don't think it is, but even if the song was that, your video now co-ops the original idea and makes it something different, because you didn't have to use politically charged, you know
Imagery. Yeah.
imagery that have spawned from racial interactions.
Yeah. They're literally from people getting killed senselessly. A lot of that imagery that's used.
Exactly. And did you
Hmm.
throw in the Charleston thing? Did you throw in the they will not replace us? Nah, you didn't do that. Why didn't you do that? Because that was an unlawful assembly. That was just, you know, blatant racism.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I do think it is important to note, like while we're discussing this, that Jason Aldean did not write this song at all. Um, it's written by four different people. Their names are Kelly Lovelace, Neil Thrasher, Tully Kennedy, and Kurt Allison. Those are actually the primary writers of his most
Okay.
recent album. They wrote like literally all of his songs. So these opinions that are being expressed aren't even his.
So, okay, no, that's very
Well,
true. So I mean
but he
that
may align with them because he did agree to do the song.
yeah,
So
that's very true. I mean, that's an honest thing, right? I mean, you have people writing your albums, you go in and record it, but at the end of the day, inaction is still action.
yeah, I agree. And he is being the poster child like of this song. Like he did agree to sing these lyrics. He agreed to shoot this video and look
Yeah,
all cool while he sang in front of this
yeah,
courthouse where a famous lynching occurred. Like
yeah,
he opted into these things. So that is why the
yeah,
American public is upset with him.
exactly.
And that courthouse is part of the reason why they're calling it like a pro lynching song.
Yeah,
So like one thing, like he did end up releasing a statement,
yeah.
and I'm gonna read a little excerpt of it because he put it out himself on Twitter. It's probably
Okay.
between him and his PR team, but
Yeah,
he says, "In the past 24 hours, I have been accused of releasing a pro-lynching song, a song that has been out since May, and was subject to the comparison that I, direct quote, was not too pleased with nationwide BLM protests."
okay.
Yeah. And then he goes on to say, these references are not only meritless, but dangerous. There's not a single lyric in the song that references race or points to it. And there isn't a single video clip that isn't real news footage. And while I can try and respect others to have their own interpretation of a song with music, this one goes too far.
Again, and again, like I said, you can find it. I mean, if you look, you can find it.
Yeah.
But like, I'll there's a lyric right here that's a term that if you're black, you know it exactly what it means, right? Try that in a small town full of good old boys raised up right. Now, the term good old boys, if you have any, if you're in the black community and you have any parent, uncle, anyone older than you, you know, that have
From a different era of
from
time.
a different era of time, right? Right
Mm-hmm.
around like the boomer, a little bit under that. You know what the term good old boy means?
It's not positive.
It's not positive, and it's been a term that's been thrown around. When you throw around that term good old boys, it's a clique of people who have a very specific, lifestyle. Well, it doesn't have to be, like Klansmen or anything like that, but they have a very
Yeah.
particular lifestyle. And if they don't like your lifestyle because it runs counter to that, they'll make it difficult for you to live your life, whether it's, overt or, subvert.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there are things in there where you can find it that aren't really hard, and it's easy to make those inferences. But
Yeah.
again, he didn't write the song from
No,
what you say. He didn't write the song.
he did not. But he
He
signed
didn't.
off on singing it.
Yes.
He was
And
like, hell yeah, put that on my album. He did that.
when you can
Most,
easily say, like, hey, I don't know about this part right here. I'll maybe change that lyric. I don't want to, stir up a fire, because you know how they get. Like, you could even just
yeah.
throw that in there, and that would have been an easy way for them to say, yeah, let me just, change that from, full of good old boys, full, you could change it to anything, but that term specifically, we know what it means.
Yeah. And like me personally, like I don't have people in my family that like had that experience. Like I come from, a bunch of white people. Like we're from Scandinavia apparently. But when I hear good old boys, in my mind, what it makes me think of is like in The Help, those dudes that all those mean racist ass ladies were married to, or like the people in the what's that movie where with Sunshine, the football team?
Oh, remember the Titans.
Yeah, remember the Titans? All those people that threatened the coach's house. That's good old boys to me. When I
Yeah.
hear good old boys, that's what I think of, is people that bully and threaten you into doing what they think is
What
society's acceptance of okay.
mm-hmm. we
So,
don't hate you. We just want you to coach somewhere else.
yeah, we don't want you here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because you're going to disrupt our small town, because
exactly.
we don't know you, but you don't fit
You
the
don't
vibe.
fit in here.
Basically, you don't fit the vibe.
Why don't you move to that town up the street? Yeah, because that's some shit they would try in a small town.
Yeah,
Good old
and
boy.
it would, and again, it would be subtle. It wouldn't. There are some who would just say the quiet part out loud. But then there are also some who will, like you said, they have homes available on the other side of town, but I
Yeah,
want this home at this address with this yard.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So yeah, like the lyrics in it, I definitely agree are problematic at the very least. Because like there's that good old boys line, which is offensive in itself, in my opinion, especially because of the
yeah.
context behind those words. But like the second like lick of lines in this is cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag and light it up. yeah, you think you're tough, so try that in a small town.
Yeah,
Like, if I want to do that, that's my fucking First Amendment right. If I want to spit on a cop, yeah, he might fucking whoop my ass.
yeah.
But,
So,
I opted for that. If I
exactly.
want to stomp on the flag and light it on fire, that's my fucking First Amendment right. That's freedom of speech.
Yeah,
Like, and like, if they're really that passionate about the flag code, quit putting it on fucking G-string underwear. How about we start there?
yeah,
Like, they get so fucking selectively outraged about things
yeah,
that I don't know. And like, I was doing some research into like songs because I was like,
yeah.
all right, so
This can't be
the
the only instance of it.
there's left and right, like
Yeah.
there's different music that the left will get upset about, and there's different music the right will get upset about. So
Was
this
it Toy
song is a
Soldier by
Toy
Eminem?
Soldier.
Oh my
Yep, people are
God.
pissed the fuck off about that.
Whoa. They were ready. You know it's bad when white people are ready to disown a white person.
Yeah.
They were so mad at Eminem. They were like, bro, I y'all can
Big
have
type.
him. They were
Yeah.
ready, white people were ready to give Eminem to black people after the song dropped. They were
Yeah.
ready. They were ready to start a racial draft, and they were going to say, "Look, we'll send you Eminem and a second round draft pick. Just go ahead and send us Omarosa."
That part. Yeah, like that song. And it was because he made comments about Bush in it. Wasn't that what happened with that
Yeah,
one?
because if my memory serves me correctly,
Because that song came out
uh,
when I was in high school. That song is
it
old as
was
fuck.
it was during the inception of the war in Iraq and Afghanistan,
Yep.
and the song kind of focuses around basically we don't believe this is the reason why we're here, and you're
Hmm.
sending people to fight your war. This
Yeah,
isn't
your oil war.
Yeah, yeah, this isn't a
Hmm.
war for freedom. This is to finish what your dad started.
Yep.
And
That outraged the fuck
out of
out of
people, which I mean,
yeah.
now when you look back on that war, the Iraq war,
Hmm.
the war in Afghanistan, it's not viewed very favorably by a lot of people. You respect the people who served there because it was a flaming tire fire.
Yeah.
But
They got Linkin Park to drop the F bomb on a song over that war. Linkin
exactly.
Park. What's that song called? It's called Hands Held High. If you've never heard it, there he says you can't put fucking gas in your tank because these motherfuckers are laughing the back in their jet. Now, like they're talking about the oil war. Like Lincoln Park got pissed off by that.
Exactly.
So like, yeah, it's
Exactly.
not favorable at all, and like a lot of people died for nothing.
Exactly. And
Hmm.
and they tried to co-opt it and say that he was taking a shot at the armed services. He wasn't. He's saying that you are sending these men and women over here indiscriminately. Fight your own
Yeah,
war. Are you? I mean, it's easy to push the button when you're in the room, in the safety of the White House, to
yeah,
make the call. But why don't you put boots on the ground yourself? So,
that part.
and again, now, hindsight's 2020, and when you look back on it, Toy Soldiers was aiming shots directly at the the actual cabinet as well as that administration.
Yeah, yeah, and like that song, it didn't just outrage country music fans though. That one hit a variety of people because like there
Yeah,
are a lot of people that were emotionally invested in that conflict because they
it,
had children over there,
yeah,
relatives,
children,
family,
brothers, dads,
friends, everybody. Like,
moms, everybody got caught up in that foolishness.
yeah. Now, like other songs that I looked up like things because I was like, let's see what other things people got upset about. So like I have like some that are for like country music fans, and then I have some that the entire American populace was just pissed about. So so it seems to me that a lot of like songs that country music fans actually get upset about are rooted in like homophobia. So there's
Oh,
a there's a couple of them. I found three that I'm just gonna like name off real quick. One is called "Cowboys Are Secretly Fond of Each Other" by Willie Nelson. I love Willie. Yep. Yep. And then there's one called Girl Crush by Little Big Town, which is about women pursuing women.
Little
Pretty
Big
basic.
Town. I feel like
There,
I've
and
heard
then
that group
there's
before.
one by a girl named Casey Musgraves. Unfortunately, she got killed after one of her concerts. She was a victim of gun violence. So, but
Wow.
she had a song called "Follow Your Arrow," and that one she made a brief reference to if you're attracted to the same sex, do what makes you happy. And people were pissed. And I don't know if that's directly correlated to what eventually like led to that gun violence that tragically ended her life,
Yeah,
but
it's kind of
she
one of
ended up
those things where
catching a
you
little
say like,
heat.
yeah, it's one of those things where you can't say like, well, I hope it wasn't that, because I mean, the opposite would just be just as terrible. So,
Yeah,
damn, that's awful.
exactly. Yeah, so that's a couple that were just rooted in you know bigotry or however you want to put that, homophobia. But another one that I thought was super fucking interesting that they were outraged about is called "We Shall Be Free" by Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks. Now, this song is about peace. He's literally singing about imagine a world where there's no racism, no hunger, everyone gets along, race isn't a thing, everyone's just neighbor for neighbor, we all love each other. And country music fans were upset. They called it super controversial because he was imaging, I don't know, a good world. Like, how fucking dare he, right?
the city on the city on the hill that that the founding fathers and everyone else has been trying to replicate since the dawn of time. How
Yeah.
dare you?
Yeah, so like I thought that was super interesting. Like that's not the only kinds of songs that upset
Yeah,
country music fans, I'm sure, but those ones just really like stuck out to me.
yeah,
And then like the general public, like things that have upset the left and like, just pretty much wide spectrums are ones that reference like consent, like sexual consent. So there's one that was
yeah,
released by a singer named Holly Dunn called Maybe I Mean Yes. It came out like mid 90s. And
yeah,
she's sitting there saying, when I say no, maybe I actually mean yes. And the American public took that as like, oh, she's telling men to be aggressive with their sexual advances at them. She's encouraging rape. So like
yeah.
I think
It's
it's
on both
so
sides.
funny, like, or not funny, but it's so like interesting
Ironic.
how polarized like what things people get outraged are over. We got the countryside where like a lot of what they get mad about is like songs that reference homophobia, but like with the general populace or the left, whatever, they get mad about songs about consent. They get mad about
Yeah,
songs like this where you're referencing like good old boys and
yeah.
using imagery that depicts like people fighting for people's rights as negative,
Hmm.
and then
But then
shit.
yeah, and then immediately, we'll scream 1776, as if this country wasn't found on protest and revolution. But I digress.
Yeah, that fucking part. Yeah, and like a fucking weird ass country anthem that I think is bizarre is that Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy song. Why the fuck does that song exist?
I've heard of like that name. I don't know if I've ever heard it though. Oh, I'll give you another song that did not see the kind of backlash like um mainstream until probably during the Me Too movement was
Mhm.
uh oh, what is it? It's Lil Wayne, Rick Ross, when I think Rick Ross says put a Molly all in her drink, she ain't even know it. I think
Mm,
it's called She Ain't Even Know. I think it's an
I think,
acronym.
yeah.
Yeah, and that took a long time for there was a vocal group of people who were upset about the line,
Hmm.
but there was this
It took a while for it to catch
yeah,
up.
yeah, and there was a retroactive backlash to it, because I mean when you listen to that line, you're like, ooh, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's a little rapey, Rick Ross.
Yeah, you're like, okay, Bill Cosby, you chill out, like stop, because that is like you should
Like, who
not do.
consulted on this song? Was it R. Kelly? Like,
No, that would have been put a little piss in her drink. Put a little pee up in her drink. She ain't even know it. Trap her in a basement.
That's nasty. But yeah, no, that retroactive outrage is pretty funny. Actually, one of the songs that I saw was by Hank Williams. You know who Hank Williams is?
No, I don't think
He's
so.
like he is a very, very old country singer. He was famous like 40s, 50s, 60s.
Okay.
But he was known for being racist, and he sang racially charged songs sometimes. And there's one that recently got some like retroactive rage from, and it's from the country spectrum, so I'll talk about it. But it's called Liga, and it's about Native American stereotypes. In 1952, when it came out, it was actually considered a hit. It came out on the radio, played on the radio,
Yeah. That
and
that's
people
not
liked it.
that's not surprising at all.
But you know, like we are in like the cancel culture days, so sometimes people
Yeah.
go back and they listen to things. Oh, my grandpa liked this. Let me listen to it, and then they listen to it and they're fucking horrified because they're like, "Holy
Yeah.
fuck, what the fuck is this?" And then it gains traction online. It's spun, and then it spins and spitballs into other
Yeah.
things. But like Hank Williams was known for being that kind
Yeah.
of singer. He sang songs like that. So like that retroactive outrage, I think will honestly keep coming up. I took like a rock history course in college. I actually really enjoyed it, so I took it twice.
Yeah.
Um, from two different instructors. They both had two differently or totally different like
Points of view.
perspectives on music. But one of them brought up Hank Williams, and we did a little segment on them. And he was like, "It's really interesting because a lot of the songs that he sings, the rhythms and the chord progressions he's using originate from blues music, which is African American music.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting how far music has come, and a lot of music can actually be traced in origin back to African American culture or like
Yeah.
African culture in general, actually, not even American, throw that away. So like it's just interesting to see how it's progressed and it's morphed into what it is today. And people are still now, even today, making songs that are considered controversial because they do have that small town mentality and whatnot.
Yeah. Select. I mean, retroactive outrage is a topic within itself. Like
Oh yeah.
it, whatever time period you look at, you can't apply today's societal norms and what's acceptable, because if you do, it will all be wrong, whether
Yeah.
it's medical, whether it's what's morally right, so that's such a difficult topic to get to, because it's like music, right? Separating the artist from the art. So
Yep.
like that's such a nuanced conversation, and if you're not ready to have a nuanced conversation about it, you're going to be upset about the conversation, because you're never going to really find a medium to it,
Yeah.
because it's definitely not a black and white conversation. That's all shades of gray, and where we have to acknowledge, okay, where are we coloring outside of the gray, like where on the spectrum should we stop on this side, and where on the spectrum should we stop on this side, and say like, okay, everything in the middle, there's a general consensus, not that everyone agrees that like this is the stuff we'll let slide, but like from this part of the gray to this black, or this part of the gray to this white, yeah, no, we ain't doing that. No,
Yeah.
that's that foolishness, and let's stop it right there. Which kind of goes back to this Jason Aldean song, right?
Yeah.
We have to find the median to say where is it foolishness, and like where are we just acting foolish because we want to be outraged by it, and where are we saying, okay, this is actually wrong, and you know it's wrong, but everything in the middle, okay, we need to put our personal experiences to the side, and then allow this to exist as itself, and not with our implied experiences attached to it.
Yeah. And our own internal bias.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I I agree. And like I do like that things like this, not necessarily that they exist, but that they come up because I think it forces everyone to kind of look at like where their moral line in the sand is.
Yeah, their moral
And
obligation.
and I do think that like because Gen Z,
Yeah.
they're progressive AF.
Whoa,
And
super progressive.
like, but there is
No
a
issue with
large,
it though.
yeah, no, there is
Do
a
your
large
thing, yeah.
population of Gen Zers that are kind of conservative though, and there are some that are resonating with this song. But I
Yeah.
do think that because of how societal tones are shifting and what people are being passionate about and being open with being passionate about or being discussed more, that it's going to, I don't know, I could see honestly, like as generations start to pass and more generations come up, that maybe we will start seeing less of this racial division shit. And I
Yeah.
really do hope for that one day. Like
Yeah.
Garth Brooks said, there is a perfect world out there. We just need to be together and work together and achieve it.
Shout out Garth Brooks.
Shout out Garth Brooks. But yeah, no, my overall take on this song, it's divisive. I think it's intentionally divisive.
Yeah.
But I do think that there are a lot of people that recognize that, and I don't think it's going to be any detriment
Yeah.
to society. I think it's going to be just like these other ones I mentioned before, where
Mm.
they kind of fade into obscurity as they should. And I
Yeah.
also want to mention before we end today that Jason Aldean is from Macon, Georgia, and that is not a small town.
Straight from New York. Try that. Try that in a small town, bro. You're from Brooklyn.
Yeah, I looked up the population of Macon and like 2018 they had like 160,000 people.
That's like me saying try that in a borough, and I'm from Las Vegas.
Try that on a campground. I'm from Manhattan. Oh shit.
Try that in a coastal city. I'm from the Sahara Desert.
Oh shit. All right. Well, I think we're pretty much out of time. We didn't even get to talk about the people that fucking got in that riverboat fight.
Oh, stay tuned for part two where we go where we go
We
on to talk about the Montgomery Brawl and how the Jason Aldean song has now been used ironically to show how you can try that in a small town and the
and
consequences
succeed.
and the consequences and repercussions of also trying it in a small town.
I can't wait. All right. Well,
I'm your host, Adrian. That's
this is
Kayla.
Kayla.
And we're signing off. Hopefully, if you think our hot takes are hot, let us know. If you think they're trash, let us know. This has been our time. Thank you for tuning in for two hot ass takes.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, do that
Bye.
too. Bye.